Hello guys, hope you all are fine. My name is PRIYANX and welcome to a brand new series of making a professional EDM track season 1. So in this season, I will be showing you guys that how you can start a melodic dubstep track. And I will go through every single part from the intro to the drop and finally the break. I'm making this kind of videos because I've seen some of you guys were texting me on Insta and saying that some of you guys are facing some issues with your arrangement, and plenty of you guys were saying that there is always a YouTube video about the drop, but there isn't a great video for the intros and the breaks. So here I am making a whole series about the solutions of these kind of problems. So hope for the best and let's start this season. But before getting started, like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel and make sure you share this video to your beginner producer friend to help them grow as well. So let's start the first episode of this new season. So before making a track, we should always be concerned about how do we put our emotions in our track. So what is the procedure of contain our true emotions in our track? Some of you guys might think there should probably be a rocket science behind this process, but after applying some easy steps, we can easily execute this procedure. So there's a few things that we need to follow before starting a project. Number 1, deciding the mood of our track. This could be happy, this could be sad. It's depending on your mood, like how you're feeling at the moment. If you're feeling it, just do it. Number 2, there should be a main theme for our track. Like it could be anything, like you can use a sample, you can use a melody, something that grabs the attention of your audience. Number 3, you can have a reference track. I used to hate this reference track thing because when I was a beginner, I used to think, what's the point of having a reference track? It's totally a cheating. How do we even make our own unique sound following a specific track? But now I understand why a reference track plays a huge role. It actually helps you to have a theme and it helps you to have an idea about how you can make your arrangement. It also helps you to fill your frequency spectrum, like if your track is missing some elements and you're clueless what you can add into the mix to fill a particular frequency spectrum, you can also use a reference track and learn about what kind of instruments and effects will help you to fill your frequency spectrum as well as the vibe. Number 4, there will be some instruments as well as some background effects in our mix. The background effects are gonna help us to emphasize our emotions throughout the track. Like if I have a piano, a string, and a bass in my mix, so the background atmosphere effects are gonna help me to bring out the emotions from the instrument. And it also helps us to have an organic mix rather than a digital sounding mix. So there are some criteria that I need to follow while making this series. Number 1, I'm only allowed to make music with only FL Studio stock plugins, but I can use OTT and Camel Crusher in my mix and labs for the synths. And don't worry, these 3 plugins are officially free to download. I will put all of their links in the description. Number 2, since we are only allowed to make music with only FL Studio stock plugins, we have to use some really high quality samples for the background atmosphere and the FXs. And that's it. Let's get into FL Studio for now. So at first we will decide the length of every part of our track that we are about to make. Here I have done the basic pre-arrangement and I have already tagged the markers for the specific parts which will help us to have a path or direction where we need to go. So basically what I'm doing is I'm making a theme for our song and I think I will make a melody using a beautiful plug sound. So I'm gonna shut my mouth for a while and let's concentrate. Let's copy this little melody and paste it in here. So now we have made our melody. Let's throw it into the mix. So now we are gonna process the melody a little bit and make it unique. You can process it differently, but I'm gonna turn down the cutoff, put it into space with using a reverb, put some EQ, use an auto pan, and finally add a gross beat to make it unique. So now we are gonna make the chords. I'm using lap soft piano. At first, let's make the bass line and it's gonna help us to make a beautiful chord progression. So as you can see, I have added a strum technique to make the piano more real. Just go up here and adjust these knobs until you get satisfied. So now we are gonna add another instrument which is gonna be the string. You can find the string from here in FL. I have just copied the piano chords and pasted it in here. So now I'm gonna show you how you can mix your string. So we have to introduce the string to our track instead of suddenly throwing it into our mix. So I'm using a low pass EQ and I'm gonna automate it to bring the high end gradually in the mix. So the next instrument that we are about to add is the sub bass. Let's copy the root notes of our chords and paste it in here for making the bass. I have used a 3x oscillator for making the sub, which is right now sounding like this. Some of you guys might think, why didn't I use all the sub oscillators to make the sub? I've only chosen 2 sub oscillators and 1 square shape because I wanted to have some grittiness, or you can say I wanted to have some thickness in the mid frequency range. So let's process the bass a little bit and let's make it sound like an actual sub bass. Now let's see how the bass is sounding with the rest of the instruments. It's sounding great. So in the meantime, I have added some FXs which is sounding like this at the moment. So now let's make our track more professional using some background ambient sounds. I've already added some sounds such as some people talking, rain sound, some sparkling synth kind of sound, some weird vocal effects, and some washed out synths. And also used some synth shots with a whole lot of reverb. Over here, I have added a reverb automation clip to the talking people to get into a big space while we are stepping into our verse. It's an amazing way to introduce your intro. Like, I use this technique a lot on my own projects to make them more professional. You can say I have used the synth shots as an ear candy for grabbing the attention of the audience and to let them hear something unique sounds besides of the instruments. Hear how I have processed the synth shot. And now let's hear the background effects all along with the rest of the instruments. So now we are at that part where we need to introduce our drums. But before that, we need to add another instrument to make an introduction for the drums. Let's do a little sound designing in here because it's sounding like a mess at this point. Let's process this little synth a bit and make a low pass filter and make an automation clip to introduce it in the mix. Now I have made a simple drum beat using some really high quality sample, which is sounding like this. And I have made the hi-hat loop in the next pattern. This drum beat is sounding really great, but it's clashing with the other instruments in the mix. So what we need to do is adding sidechain. Some producers use sidechain compression and some producers use a volume automation to make sidechain. And I'm the second one, so we're gonna make volume automation for sidechaining. But here we need to focus because we need to make a separate bus where we will be routing all the elements to a sidechain bus. We will select the piano, the strings, the bass, and all the background elements except the drum, obviously, and route them to a single bus and name it as sidechain. So now we can easily control the volume of every single thing by using only the sidechain bus. Now let's sidechain. So make a shape of your volume automation which fits right in your mix and put them where the kick and the snare is sitting. And now we have a perfect mix. Nothing is clashing with the drums and the drums are sounding great. Let me add something to make my drums more unique. I have added some reverse effects and a plug sound to make it tonal in every 2 bars. There are a lot of ways to make your music unique. Like, you can always try something different. Just be creative and keep doing experiment with your sounds and your mix. So finally, we are at that stage where we will take a listen to our final result. Hope you guys learned something from this episode, and make sure you like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel so you will get the notification when I will post the second episode of this season. And let me know in the comments if you like this video or not. And I need 50 likes on this video so I can post the second episode of this season where I will continue making this track. So for now, let's take a listen to what we have made in this episode. So see you again in the next episode. Till then, take care and keep learning new things. Peace.
When